What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into today's video. So it's been a while since we last talked. It's been about 2 years since I came out with my video talking about my experience going through the coding bootcamp, somehow getting a job after the coding bootcamp, and then getting fired from not only my first job, but my first 2 programming jobs. There's a lot of people that have been asking for an update, especially within the last few weeks. My video's been getting a lot of views lately. And this is a video that I've actually been meaning to record for quite some time, because about 9 months ago, I ended up getting what I like to call a real programmer job. I know that I had 2 jobs before, but they were just such disasters that I can hardly even call them real jobs. And one thing that I am just so excited for is not only did I not get fired from this job, but I've actually been promoted at this job. And just to think back on my journey and how much I struggled, the fact that I am finally here is just it's such an exciting experience for me. And I've been really hesitant to come out with this video because for a long time I thought that I was moving slow. I signed up for the coding bootcamp at the end of 2018. And to think that it's taken me this long to get a job at first, that really just discouraged me, because I thought that everyone else around me was just so much smarter. I thought they were moving faster. I thought they were getting better jobs. But I realized that my experience is not unique. There's a lot of people out there just like me that they want to break into tech, they want to break into programming or web development, and I think that a lot of people are learning it is quite a bit harder than some people realize. And I just feel like with everything I've been through, with my experience, I genuinely believe that if I can do it, anyone can do it. Now, there's a high chance that maybe you'll do it faster than me, but I really just don't think that it matters. For a while that upset me, but now I don't even care. I think that getting a job in 4 years is a lot more realistic than some of these boot camps make it seem. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people out there that just absolutely fly through these boot camps. They pick it up so quick, they come out, they get jobs. That wasn't me. And I just want to share with you the journey that I've gone through, the things that I've learned in order to not only get myself a job as a front-end developer, but I've actually been promoted at this job, and I've become a very valuable asset on my team. And I want to share with you some of the things that I've gone through that just helped me drastically improve my skills and everything that led up to me getting this job. So looking back, one of the things that happened, over the last 2 years is I actually gave up on coding for about a year and a half. And I know that's going to be surprising to a lot of people. It actually is surprising to me, because I basically gave up on coding for a year and a half while I worked at this marketing agency. And it wasn't until I left that job and started to actually get back into coding that so much started to make sense. Now, let me just go back for 1 second and kind of explain what I mean by that. When I ended up after getting fired, I tried applying for more coding jobs, and I continued to get rejected, and it was just such a struggle. My imposter syndrome was out of control, and I just thought, maybe this isn't for me. But I was so desperate to stay in the web development world, and I knew that working at this marketing agency would give me an opportunity to at least work on websites. Now, I knew right away that I would not be coding these websites. And at first, that was really nerve-wracking for me, because when I was going through the boot camp, I was told numerous times, do not stop coding or else you're going to forget. But I honestly feel like it's like the complete opposite happened for me. I basically gave up on coding, and I started to focus almost entirely on using these website builders. WordPress, Webflow, Wix, Squarespace, Shopify, whatever. Okay, at this marketing agency, I was tasked to basically create full websites for companies. A lot of our clients were new companies. They didn't have websites yet. And so I had the opportunity to create a lot of websites basically from the ground up. I was able to work a lot with clients and just get a really good sense of what a client is looking for on a website. Now, I know that, so my journey may not resonate with a lot of you because I got a job as a front end developer. And one of the reasons that I was able to get this job is because I was able to get so much experience working at this agency and creating basically really good professional looking websites. And not only did I spend a lot of time, like learning web design, but I also was able to test a lot of these websites that I built because we would run ads to these websites. We worked on SEO. Like the main goal at this company was not to design beautiful websites. Our goal was to create websites that generated a profit for our clients. But I didn't want my websites to look like total garbage. And so that's why I spent a lot of time learning web design and everything I could to just make my websites look better. I know that like when I was going through the coding boot camp, obviously like we were all new at the time. And so everything we built just didn't look very good. But I was committed to learning how to build a website that actually looks good, looks professional. Because I learned that you can create a very, very complex piece of software. And the minute you show it to they won't know how to work it. They won't know how to sign up. They won't know how to use it. And I just wanted to avoid that. Everything I built, I just wanted to look good and professional. And once I started working with a lot of these website builders, I learned that you can make a very, very simple website look really, really good. And so that's one of the things that I really committed to learning. And although I was not coding at this job, I just got so much experience, so much hands-on experience working with clients, getting a good sense of what it takes to build a good-looking website. But as I worked at this agency, that thought of feeling like I'd given up was always there. For over a year and a half, I was just feeling a little bit heartbroken, a little disappointed in myself, feeling like I gave up on something that I really wanted so bad. Like I felt like I was so bad at coding, but I was so committed to making it work. And a lot of the things that I taught myself to get to where I am, I feel like may not be necessary for everybody, but it worked for me. So there's one thing that I feel like I need to mention, and I'm very hesitant to mention this because I already know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me. And people have disagreed with me on my previous videos. I feel like anytime I bring this up anywhere on the internet, it's a quick path for people to disagree with me. So just a fair warning. But I mentioned that I spent so much time using these website builders, and I have mentioned this in numerous videos before, but as I was working at the marketing agency, I discovered Webflow. And Webflow it's like taking HTML, CSS, and combining it with Photoshop. Instead of sitting there and writing out, div tags and writing CSS classes, it's a way that you can kind of drag and drop. You can drop divs, you can drop forms, you can drop buttons and images. Each element that you add, you can add whatever CSS you want to it. And I have built so many websites in Webflow, and the fact that it just has a good user experience allowed me to basically master the box model. And I know that the box model is like web development 101. But the truth is, when I first started to learn this, and I think that this might be true for a lot of people, but CSS can be a little bit confusing. And just like this is just a very basic example. It literally took me like over a year to know the difference between like paddings and margins. Like I used them synonymously because I didn't really know what I was doing. But I was using Webflow, and that allowed me to very, very quickly learn exactly how much just paddings and margins and sizes and flex and grid. And I feel like I truly, truly mastered CSS, at least from a Webflow perspective. I know that there's a lot of very advanced CSS things that you can do, which are things that I ended up learning after I got very, very, very comfortable with Webflow. And it basically got to a point where, this is something that I'm excited about, but I know that there's a lot of developers out there that feel like this should be mandatory to know. And I kind of agree, but knowing the box model and just being able to look at any web page and know exactly what you need to do to replicate it, that's something that I got really good at. And when I left this marketing agency, that is when I decided I was going to jump back into coding. And I'd already taken like so many just courses on like Material UI and Tailwind and like Bootstrap and SaaS. Like I'd already, before the marketing agency, I was already kind of on my journey learning how to make websites look better. And after getting all the experience building all those websites, once I started getting back into coding, going back to those tutorials that I once purchased, on SaaS and Tailwind and Bootstrap and all this stuff, so much just like clicked, made sense to me. And I spent so much time asking the question, do I know enough? Am I smart enough? Like, what do I need to know to get a job? Like, even 2 years after the boot camp, I still felt like I didn't quite know if I knew enough. But the truth is, the boot camp taught me everything I needed to know. But it just took me time and practice to be able to start building my own projects. I remember for so long, like I would watch these tutorials on YouTube, and I remember the instructor, whoever that may have been, would say, don't copy this exactly, make sure you build your own product off this. And I remember thinking, like, I cannot do anything other than what you're showing me. Like, I do not know how to manipulate these boxes enough to even try to make something different and have it still look as good as this tutorial that I'm following. But after having all that experience building all those websites, and even though I wasn't coding, all of a sudden things just kind of like made sense to me. Like I built so many websites, like blogs, for example. And, blogs that had a database, we would write blogs, we'd put them in our CMS system, we would build a web page, and then we would pull that data and show it on the front. And like the thing is, I wasn't doing that with code, but because I went through the coding boot camp, I was able to picture, remember back on the assignments that I did and thought, oh, this is a for loop. This is what I use to loop over the cards or something. Okay. Like this is how I access the database. This is how I pull data. Like I remember doing all of those lessons and I didn't think that I knew enough. The thing is, I really think that everything I built, it just looked so bad that I thought I didn't know what I was doing. But after getting all this experience, especially working with Webflow and just having the confidence of being able to build something that looks good, that's when I started to jump back into coding. And I started to, just for fun, I just started building blogs, e-commerce stores, small websites. And things just made so much sense. Like I remembered how to write the code to connect to the database. Like I remembered how to write the code to create a session. I remembered, maybe not everything off the top of my head, but I was like, I need to create a login system if I want people to see these blogs. And I was just able to start building out some projects that I, for the first time, was proud of. And the truth is, once I started doing that, like I put some time into those projects, and once I started to show those projects to people, it very quickly, people were like, wait, hold up, you built this and you don't have a job? Like, wait, you designed this and you don't have a job right now? That really is kind of like what happened. And the thing is, I actually, here's how I got the job. I ended up applying for jobs just through LinkedIn, not really thinking that I was going to get messaged by anyone. But I was showing people some projects, and I was also meeting people like in person. This is random thought, but I feel like it's important to know. It's important to make a mental note of everyone that you know that is a programmer. That's how I got my first 2 jobs in the first place. Is after the boot camp, I made a note of who else is a programmer. And then I found any way I could to strike up a conversation with them. Most of them rejected me or just completely blew me off, but 2 of them gave me a shot. And that is how I got my first 2 jobs that I got fired from. But then this third job, my newest job, kind of the same way. I reached out to someone that I knew was a programmer, and I was like, hey, will you just look at these projects? Like, tell me if they're good, tell me what I can do to make them better. And basically they looked at it and said what I said before. They're like, you built this. Like, you built all this from scratch and you're looking for a job? And they basically were like, yeah, like, we need someone like you. Because it ended up being a startup company, and it's a new company, small team, and they were getting close to wrapping up like their MVP, but they wanted someone to come in and work on the front end. And after seeing what it was that I could do, they basically hired me. And they were a little bit skeptical at first because I told them my story. I was like, I haven't really coded in a long time, but now that I'm back doing it, I'm actually a lot better at it than I thought I was. I'm a lot better than I was giving myself credit for. Not even to mention, am I better at it now, but even just rewatching tutorials, reading actual documentation, like that felt like that went over my head for years. It was some things were just so hard to pick up, but now I don't want to necessarily say it's easy, but it went from feeling like I was reading gibberish to actually reading English. So much started to make sense. And the job that hired me, they did not have, well, I guess like they did. They had like a UI UX designer that they hired off like Fiverr or something like that. And that was the software that we were building. It just was not very good. It just, in my personal opinion, it was not as good as it should have been. And so I ended up on my own time, started building out a whole bunch of options for a redesign. And it's been a long, tedious process, but everyone has been absolutely blown away with the work that I've done. From what our tools used to look like to what they look like now is just a night and day difference. And we're getting more investors, more clients are signing up, more people are joining the team just because, like, genuinely people are stoked to be part of what I'm building. And I feel like I'm bragging a little bit, and I apologize, but I just think back on my journey and how being fired, being the worst one in my class, to now being such an important member of my team and doing such, important work. I know that what I'm doing is not the most important work. Like, we wouldn't be anything without the back end team. But our piece it's just become, a very nice professional looking piece. And I'm debating if I should show it to you guys or not. I feel like we need to officially launch before I do. But when the time comes, I will. I'll share some before and after pictures of what it is that I've done. I also am going to be. I have a new project coming up in the next couple weeks where I'm going to be redesigning another one of our sites, and it's a site that does not get any business for obvious reasons. It's not a very good site, and I'm pretty convinced that by the time I'm done working with it, we're going to see some huge improvements. I feel like I should probably confirm with my team before I start posting our work on the internet. I would imagine they won't care, but it is something that I do want to confirm first. But that is, that really is kind of my story. That is my latest update. And I hope that some of you found it valuable. I know that the journey that I took may not be the best journey. That may not have been the best way to do it. There was probably faster ways, easier ways. There's a lot of things that I learned over the last few years that I thought were going to be really important, ended up not being that important. But then there's so many things that I didn't think were going to be important that have just proven to be invaluable in my progression. So I just want to say thank you to everyone that has decided to spend their time with me tonight. I always get really nervous to make these videos, and I apologize that I do not upload more regularly. I feel like one of the reasons that I do not upload videos is because I don't want to be known. I don't want to just be a YouTuber. Someone actually left a comment on my video yesterday saying, "Oh, you failed at programming. That's why you became a YouTuber, huh?" Well, the thing is, that's actually one of the main reasons that I don't upload YouTube videos, is because I don't want to be a YouTuber. Like, it has always been my goal to become a developer, and I don't want to be known for the videos that I make. I want to be known for the work that I produce. And I just have, making these videos has kind of fallen off to the side because I'm focusing on myself, my own skills, and I don't want to sit here and tell you guys how to do something that I don't know how to do myself. So I'm not gonna make you guys click that follow button, whatever. If you liked the video, I appreciate all the thumbs up you give me. If you have any thoughts or feedback, please leave a comment down below. I know that I don't respond to everybody, but I do read all the comments. And I just want to say that I'm very thankful for everyone that has subscribed to my channel. And thank you just to everyone that has been here the whole time. Just know that I appreciate you guys very much. And if you have any questions for me, please leave a comment down below. And I will catch you all on the next video.